Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, July 18th. We are intraday right now, and this is our trade ideas video. Every Wednesday, bring you about a half a dozen or so technical setups, stocks that are holding up in strong patterns, showing relative strength. Overall, just names that I'm paying attention to that you may find interesting as well. So let's jump into it. We got 4 names from my watch list, 2 names from our partners over at Investors Business Daily. Let's jump into the first one here. It is Autodesk ADSK. This is a weekly time frame that you're looking at right now, and this suggests to us that this pattern is not yet at this time ready to go, but it is a name that I'm paying attention to. You can see if we zoom out here, it's been in a nice long-term uptrend for the past multiple years, and it is consolidating right under these prior all-time highs made just a few weeks ago, around 140. And if we look here, you can see we got higher lows kind of bumping up against this flat top resistance area around 140. If we go down to the daily chart, you can see here, this is the pattern a little closer day by day, and you can see again, not quite ready just yet, but something to pay attention to, something to watch. It's shown some good relative strength here. It's tightening up, and north of 140, if we get some nice range expansion, good volume coming in on a breakout in the coming days or weeks, this is a name that I think could continue to trend in that long-term trend that it's been in for multiple years. So ADSK, first name there, larger pattern, but something to pay attention to. Next up is Steve Madden, so SHOO, S-H-O-O. Let's look at a weekly chart first here. You can see, again, nice long-term uptrend for the past couple of years. It recently broke out above this major level around 43.50 earlier this year, and since it's broken out, it has rallied about 20, almost 30% since the breakout back here in April of this year. So if we look a little closer now, you can see we have this nice tight consolidation at highs. So if we look at this past 6 weeks or so, this consolidation here, we have this nice strong uptrend, price is holding up, and we are working off some of this rally here throughout April, May, and the beginning of June. And you can see it is just kind of basing out in here for the past multiple weeks. It is up at the top end of the range, and once again, this is one I'd be paying attention to for a breakout. Take a look at the volume coming up here recently as it's moved up towards these recent highs. It does have earnings later this month on the 31st, so that is something to be aware of, but for now, consolidating nicely upper end of the range, and something I would be paying attention to. Next up, we have Etsy, E-S-E-T-S-Y. This one's been in play for a while now. Again, long-term chart has been a monster throughout 2017 and 18. It took some time. 2016, really the beginning of 2017 too, it was still really a stock that needed to be proven as it was beaten up since its IPO price. But ever since the past couple of months now, it has exceeded its initial IPO price. It's on the way of making new all-time highs. And you can see here, if we zoom in once again, we had this monster move, 28% weekly move here back in mid-June, and now we are moving sideways for the 5th week in a row. Go down to that daily chart, and here we go, another tight pattern holding up. We have this big open gap that has not been filled, so showing that there is some pent-up demand here, that sellers were unable, or the market was unable to fill this gap at this point. And if we start to get a trigger to new highs here north of, say, 45.50, 46, I think Etsy can continue to move higher here. It's in nosebleed territory. This is for you momentum traders that are looking for those high growth, fast-paced names. But I think, again, it is something that could be favorable here on that breakout. Volumes dried up in this consolidation, so one that I'm paying close attention to. Earnings early next month. Next up, and finally from my list, is PayPal. So PayPal here has been a strong performer over the past couple of years as well, and it is starting to resume a trending period, which I'm watching closely here. Let's go to a weekly chart first. You can see we had a couple of different breakout points that you could have got involved in the stock, but really from the end of 2017 to just a few months ago, this was moving mostly sideways between about $70 and $85 or so. Back here on the middle of May, towards the end of May, we got a break out of this trend line projected from the prior highs here early in 2018, and then it recently kind of moved up towards those highs around 2018. It pulled back for a week or two, and then it just recently broke out and is starting to make new highs. So for, again, maybe a little bit of a longer time frame here, but if this can continue to hold above these highs here around $86, then we'd look to see if this can enter a nice kind of sweet trending period, kind of like right in here. So right in about 2017, notice how there's very little volatility here. Again, this is a weekly chart, but it just kind of trended higher here and continued in its all-time high fashion. Let's see if that can happen here. If it can stay above $85, $86, if it starts to break back down, then all bets are off. But PayPal, down to the daily chart here, you get a little mini kind of 4-day consolidation. Maybe that's a way to get involved with a slightly tighter risk, but I'm watching this one, and potential trending move. Also has earnings coming up, so you do have to keep that one in mind. So next two are from IBD's lists. The first up is TAL. I like the move here in TAL. If we go to the weekly chart, again, you can see nice strong move to the upside over the past couple of years. And then if we look at this week's performance, it's up 6%. It's taken out the past couple of weeks' highs. If we go down to that daily chart, and what we can see here is we had a lot of chop right in here under this $40 level, but it is clearing above that, and it is tracking on some higher volume today. So if we look at this little trend line here, or of course, you could look just at this flat top here, depending on how you want to draw it. The point is we get some range expansion, some volume coming in, making a move above these past couple of week highs, and it is trying to resume that trend to the upside. It had a pretty ugly high volume thrust lower here back on June the 13th. So that is something that we do want to pay attention to. It is starting to reclaim back into that territory. We want to see if the selling is now complete based on the way volume has dried up and we're starting to get an expansion higher again. It does look like we have some early signs that it's safe to re-enter the water here, but this is one that is moving today, and I think one we could look for a little more of an immediate move here, maybe a move into its earnings release, which is later this month. So that is another catalyst to pay attention to. Finally, we have ZBRA. This also comes from IBD's list, and this one here I think is really kind of an interesting name, and I think it could really go both ways. For me, I like first, the long-term trend is higher, so I do want to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls here, but this pattern that is currently in play here for ZBRA, what I like is this tighter consolidation. So for the past 6 or 7 trading sessions, we've really kind of tightened up and moved sideways here. And anytime price gets sideways, I'm always interested in how that ends up resolving itself for a potential trade opportunity. But what I like about it specifically is we had this kind of high volume reversal day here. It was a 3.5% reversal day. This was back on the 2nd of the month of July. And then since that point, it's really kind of been flagging out here. So it's held on to the majority of this reversal day's gains, and now it's just tightening up here. So for me, if we could get some type of high volume move above 150, 151 or so, that would be interesting for a potential kind of trend resumption to the upside, maybe retest these old highs. Earnings not until mid-August, so we have some time here to play around in the setup. Alternatively, again, this could roll the other way if this impulse leg does in fact continue to exhibit its force and we roll over from here and we start either breaking below this reversal day's lows around 141, or if you want to cheat and use a 144 price or something like that, if we start breaking down on volume, then you could play it to the downside as well as a larger potential topping pattern. But it's yet to be seen. Price is coiled, and I'm watching to see which way that ends up resolving itself. So those are the trade ideas from this week. Again, do your own homework, double check those earnings dates, try and bring you some names that aren't super extended or aren't highly talked about. So hopefully these names are interesting for you. And as always, check out the Investors Business Daily links in the description of this video if you want access to their stocks list where a few of these names did come from. So thanks so much as always. Talk to you next time, and happy trading.